All right, a lot of Seattle businesses and residents are now recovering from that virtual lockdown where they were cordoned off from the rest of the world in a 6-block radius, but nothing got in and no business got out. And now a lot of them are saying, you know what, I'm going to sue. This isn't fair. This isn't right. Brian Claypool joins us right now, an attorney dealing with just that. Brian, how many have contacted you about this?
Well, I've heard from a couple of businesses that have contacted me about it. I happen to be a civil rights lawyer as well. And I'll tell you, Neil, this lawsuit that was filed has a lot of merit for two basic reasons. Number one, there's a constitutional doctrine called equal protection of the law. Make no mistake about it that what's been going on in Seattle is what's called an unlawful assembly, Neil. That means more than 3 people assemble and either for lawful or unlawful reason, but it imperils the peace, tranquility, and safety of the neighborhood. That's what's going on. So the city, the mayor of Seattle, is not equally applying the law because she's ignoring the fact that this is an unlawful assembly. And the second constitutional argument is clearly these business owners who are trying to run a business are being deprived of their property, and that's what's called a deprivation of life and liberty. They're not getting any due process. They can't even use their business.
I imagine everything changed, Brian, with the violent incident where police were trying to get in to deal with a shooting, and they were not. The protesters were not letting them get in. One guy died, another was severely injured, another was even in a follow-up back, kind of touch and go there for a while. That changed this debate, didn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, Neil. This went from a protest and a peaceful protest to a disruption of business, and also where a young man actually gets killed. Now, I am appalled at the fact that the mayor at that point, once there's a death involved, didn't have this shut down. And Neil, you should know that on Friday, lawyers for the business owners who filed a lawsuit today for money damages are going in on Friday for what's called injunctive relief if the mayor doesn't start unraveling this disruption. And what that means in a nutshell is they will seek an order from a judge declaring that this is in fact an unlawful assembly, so that the mayor then is forced to comply with that court order and clear that area out so that these businesses can go back to doing what they do best.
Do they have to prove economic harm? I think it would be understood that people were not shopping in that area. You know what I mean? So how would they proceed?
Yeah. So what was filed today is what's called a monetary lawsuit, a civil lawsuit seeking money damages. These business owners are going to argue that we haven't been able to operate our business for 2 weeks. We make X number of dollars per day. The city owes us 2 weeks of lost revenue, and the city owes us for any damage to our property and all the distress that we've undergone not being able to run our business. The city's responsible for. They're going to win on that lawsuit, Neil. There's no question about it. That's the monetary case. Right. Then on Friday, if the mayor doesn't step up, that's going to be what's called an injunctive case. It's a separate case where they're going to seek a court order declaring this an unlawful assembly.
All right, wow. We'll be watching it closely. Brian, thank you for explaining all that. Brian Claypool, in this very unusual move to file a lawsuit because you couldn't move, essentially, couldn't do business, essentially. By the way, we're just